Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. You have to have my item. It's Christmas. After that, my cousin won't stop dumping her kids on me and refuses to discipline them. I teach them a lesson. And after that, am I the jerk for yelling at my girlfriend and storming out after she ate food off my plate? Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen doesn't get to eat any Christmas cookies. But it's Christmas, please! So please smash that like button, and if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. You have to have my item. It's Christmas. I had gone out to see my psychologist on Monday and had a great session. On my way back home, I decided to wander the business district for a bit. I find it fun, and we have virtually zero risks of getting sick here, so I can be safe while doing it. I was wandering through the store, which we will call Bullseye, that employs people with red shirts, and was coming up from near the register when I heard the sound of a feminine voice starting to rise. Me, being the nosy person I am, I hung around to listen to the drama. We've got Karen, we've got poor worker, we've got manager, and we've got security guard. Karen: but you have to have it in stock. The website says that you do. Worker: the website isn't always accurate. It's better to call the store. But I needed the item. Where else can I get it? Worker: you could probably get it at another store. I don't want to go to another store. The manager hears this and walks over. Manager: hi, can I help you? Karen turns to the manager. I need this item, but she, gestures to employee, says that you don't have it in stock. Manager: unfortunately, it's a very popular item, and we sold out quite quickly. Well, where else can I get one? Manager: you might be able to find one at another store. I won't go to another store. I want it at this store. We could order it online for you. How long would that take? Right now, about 2 weeks. That's not going to work. I need this item for my kids for Christmas. Manager: please keep your voice to reasonable levels. Forget you. I'll yell if I want to. You're being stupid. The security guard was already en route, but hurried over when he heard this. Security: I'm rescinding your right to shop here. Please leave the store. No, I want my item. Security: leave, now. Karen goes quiet for a moment and then spins on her heel and storms away quickly. Karen, looking back: I'm going to call corporate. I know a high-up manager there. I swear to God, I'll bang! Karen didn't see that the door was slow opening and promptly walked into it. Multiple people started to laugh at this point, including the security guard. Worker was hiding her face. Manager was going through a titanic struggle to keep composure. Karen made this decision then to turn around and start swearing at the people who were laughing. Shut up! Shut up! All of you! I'm going to sue this store. You're all going to be jobless by Christmas Day. She turns to walk out the door, not realizing that by this point, she was behind the sensor range and she walked into the closed door. She lets out a scream of rage and starts pounding on the door. No one could hold back this time. Seeing someone storm into a closed door twice in a row was beyond hilarious. Everyone who was watching was howling with laughter. Karen: open! Open, you jerk! Open! The security guard walks forward and waves to the sensor, making the door open. Karen lets out another scream and storms out. Speaking of Christmas gifts, did you get anything good for Christmas? And if so, what was it? Please let us know. I still can't believe you got me a lump of coal. I'll never forgive you for this. My cousin won't stop dumping her kids on me and refuses to discipline them. I teach them a lesson. So, a cousin of mine got pregnant some years back. You'd think after her first baby daddy bailed, she'd have the sense to not have another one with the first new guy to flash her a smile. But flash forward 9 years later, and she's now the proud mother of 2 unruly brats. Thanks to Cuz losing her job after getting sick, she moved in with my parents. Unfortunately, they've got to work during the day, and since she's got her job hunt, I strongly suspect she's just using it as an excuse to fritter away her welfare money in clubs. I can't say I blame her too much if that's the case though. Not when she's got a better chance of winning the lottery than bagging a sucker stupid enough to put a ring on her finger. That leaves my new apartment as the drop-off zone for her spawn. So from 9 to 5, I've got to deal with an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old straight out of the deepest pit of heck. They have online Zoom classes, which my parents bought them each a laptop for, but more often than not, they just mute themselves and turn off the camera before messing around doing God knows what. When they get tired of sitting, they go on a rampage through my apartment. The 8-year-old is hateful towards my girlfriend and I. No doubt he learned this from his mom. The little demon refuses to accept the harsh reality that is girls being in love with girls and is convinced I'm messing with him whenever I remind him we're a couple. He seems to be under the impression that my real boyfriend is being hidden away in a closet somewhere in the apartment, and if he screams, "It's not funny anymore," enough times at me, I'll finally relent and free the poor sap from his confinement. It's gotten to the point where I've caught him trying to smash a framed photo of me and my girlfriend and ripped up the cards we gave each other for our 1-month anniversaries. I tried asking his mom to have a talk with him, but she just tells me to just say you have a boyfriend like a normal person. That's all he wants to hear. Meanwhile, the 6-year-old won't stop trying to play with my girlfriend's pet gerbil and has made a habit of sticking her hands into the cage in an attempt to fish him out of the shavings he likes to hide in. Then she screams when he nips her finger. And guess who ends up getting chewed out when the little angel throws herself into my cousin's arms when she comes to pick her up and shoves her greasy, bloated fingers in Mommy's dearest's face, demanding she kiss it better. She also likes drawing on the walls. At first, keeping anything that wasn't a pencil out of her reach solved that problem, but she started bringing over markers from her parents' house, albeit washable ones. I tried confiscating them from her upon arrival, but the little mastermind has started smuggling them into my apartment. To make things worse, the kids simply refused to be disciplined. I would make them stand in the corner and they'd wander off after 5 minutes. I would refuse to let them have dessert as punishment, but they'd simply raid my pantry by themselves. I couldn't take away their laptops because they needed them for school, and if I confiscated their other toys, they'd get their mom to yell at me for being such a meanie, and she'd tell me to never punish them like that again. You'd think me letting my cousin pawn her kids off on me 5 days a week free of charge. She pulled the "how can you possibly expect an unemployed single mom to cough up compensation" card and then got my parents to further chew me out for being so heartless. She'd make some effort to help me enforce the ground rules I've established, but that would require her to actually make an effort in raising her brats. And why do that when she can just deflect blame by yelling at me about how their teachers angrily called her about how her kids refused to participate in class? I've told her repeatedly that I can't monitor her kids and work at the same time, but that doesn't seem to register with her. It got to the point where I was practically begging her to tell her kids to stop trashing my place and let me work in peace, but she insists that reining in their destructive tendencies would stunt their development. So I grin and bear it for 2 weeks at my parents' insistence, but eventually everybody has a breaking point. Mine was when the 8-year-old sneaked up on my napping girlfriend and cut off a chunk of her hair. She was hysterical. It was almost down to the scalp in the front. And of course, my cousin refused to do so much as apologize for her spawn's sociopathy. I warn her that if she's not going to discipline her kids, I will. She laughs me off and tells me, "Good luck." So the next day after my cousins get dropped off, I tricked them into going into my bedroom. I tell them I finally bought the gaming console my nephew had been badgering me to buy for him. I tell them to leave their backpacks with their laptops, books, and other recreational tools in the kitchen. Upon entry into the room, I lock the door, leaving them trapped inside with nothing for entertainment but a series of homemade pamphlets containing several accounts of true crime to scare them. Playing on the TV in our room was a recording of the most terrifying horror movies that me and my girlfriend could find, playing back to back. Then I call their teachers and I let them know that my niece and nephew won't make it to Zoom since I had some errands to run today and couldn't leave them alone. At first, they screamed and pounded on the door, demanding to be let out, but my girlfriend and I put earplugs in and ignored them. We left out several snacks, sandwiches, and water bottles in the bedroom drawer, so it wasn't like we were letting them starve. With no means of getting out and nothing to distract from their boredom, they had no choice but to turn their attention to the things on the screen and in the pamphlets. Eventually, the screams of outrage turned into screams of fear. But my cold heart remained unmoved. After the last movie finishes, I let them out and warn them I'll find even worse movies to force them to watch if they continue to disrespect me. Suffice to say, they behaved for the rest of the day. When my cousin arrives, her kids run to her and snitch on me. As one might expect, she's furious, but I remind her of my ultimatum and how it isn't my fault she underestimated me. She starts screaming at me for being the worst babysitter ever, to which I remind her that she's welcome to find someone else to put up with her placental parasites anytime she likes. She was still upset and ratted me out to my folks, but being the cheapskate she was, continued to make me watch her kids since she couldn't find anyone else she could bully into doing it for free. Fortunately though, the kids were considerably more well-behaved after that. They even apologized for my girlfriend's hair. That's not to say they didn't keep pushing my buttons, but at least now I instilled a fear of God in them to keep them in line. I work from home for my internship. It doesn't pay much, but I also get an allowance from my parents, and I've got my girlfriend to help me foot the rent. We just moved in together recently and are trying to make it work. Edit. All of the people telling me I went too far. If you actually read the full story, you'd know I only scared them as a last resort after literally nothing else worked to discipline them. Also, for all the people telling me to just refuse to let the kids in, I couldn't risk upsetting my folks enough to get my allowance cut off as punishment. I'm a university student juggling my classes along with an internship, and my rent isn't exactly cheap, even with a roommate. Well, what do you think? Did OP take it too far or not? Please let us know.
Oh, nonsense. That's how I was punished too in my younger years, and look how I turned out.
Am I the jerk for yelling at my girlfriend and storming out after she ate food off my plate? I know this sounds awful, but please hear me out. I, 28, male, had a pretty rough childhood. Grew up dirt poor and raised by a single mom with an older brother. Always being hungry and not having enough food was a constant of my childhood. I can't count the number of times I didn't have enough money for lunch at school and would have to sit there hungry and hope that a friend would give me their leftovers. My older brother was a bully growing up. When mom wasn't looking, he'd take food off my plate because he was even more hungry than I was. My bro and I are very cool now, and he has apologized profusely for doing that. So I grew up very scrawny and hungry all the time, but was lucky to get into college on a scholarship and majored in mechanical engineering and now have a good paying job. I guess compensating for my childhood, I am now obsessive about food, cooking, bodybuilding, weight training, etc. I think I'm well adjusted and I credit my childhood for making me resilient and tough. But one weird quirk is, I can absolutely not stand it when people take food off of my plate. I'm like a territorial dog with his bowl of chow. As such, whenever I cook, I always make double so there's always leftovers and I'll never have to worry about anyone I'm feeding not having enough. Anyway, I've been dating my girlfriend, who's 27, for 3 years now, living together for 1. She has some idea of my childhood, but I don't like to dwell on the past. Early on in our relationship, we were at a restaurant and she took some fries off my plate, and I just sort of laughed and said, "Hey, I know this is weird, but please don't do that. I'll order more fries if you want some." She knows this is a quirk of mine. A few days ago, we had a couple friends over for dinner outside. We all work from home at this point, and they're our only bubble friends we see, and same with them. We were talking about quirks our partners have, and my girlfriend, a little tipsy, joked about how I hate it when people eat food off of my plate. To emphasize her point, she scooped a bit of mashed potatoes off my plate. I was like, "Haha, yeah, I don't like that." And then she did it again. "Haha, babe, seriously, please don't do that. There's more mashed potatoes inside." A few minutes later, she did it again. I reiterated I wasn't done with my plate and that she could get some more inside. "But I don't want to go inside," she said, and then took another bite off my plate. This made her and our friends laugh. That made me lose it. I felt disrespected. I said, "It's not funny," and stormed off and went inside. Our friends were understandably weirded out and left shortly thereafter. We're now barely talking, and she is beyond upset for embarrassing her. I'm at a total loss and feel terrible for making a scene, but at the same time, this is just the one thing that drives me crazy, and the fact that my girlfriend hasn't apologized either isn't helping. So, am I the jerk? Well, what do you think? Is OP the jerk, or is his girlfriend? Please let us know.
I dare you to take something off my plate, Mr. Reddit. It'll be the last thing you ever taste.
I demand you advertise my YouTube channel. We've got me, we've got entitled friend, and we've got friend. Oh boy, this one's a doozy. For those who don't know, I have a YouTube channel. Recently, my videos have been spiking in popularity, which I'm happy about. Anyway, let's get to the point. One day, me and friend are chatting in Discord. He says, "Hey, you want to join my friend's Discord server? They'd be real happy to have you." Me, "Sure, why not?" So friend invites me, I join, and I say hello to everyone there. The owner, entitled friend, states that they are happy to see me there. Me. Hello, entitled friend.
Hi, you have a YouTube channel, correct?
Me. Yeah, it's called my channel name.
Oh, how delightful. I hope we can be active and chat here.
Me. Yeah, sure. A couple days pass, and suddenly entitled friend does something that makes friend mad. Entitled friend changes the server name to Friend and I's friend group name with the tag official on it. Friend gets angry and protests, saying that entitled friend should change the name back. Entitled friend does something mod power trippy, not uncommon on Discord, and bans both of us. I appeal, and this happens. Direct words. Entitled friend.
So, can you make a video about my channel and put my channel link in the description?
Me. Why? Entitled friend.
Hey, you said.
I certainly did not say. Me. Well, I already put your channel on my amazing channels list, so people should be checking out your channel from there.
Well, you get unbanned once you do that.
Me. I don't care about your stupid server anyway. Leave me alone. Stress level 10 at this point. Entitled friend.
Please make a video about it. Please, please, please. Promote my channel now, or I will ban you forever.
Me. Please leave me alone.
You still got to make a vid.
Me. I told you, I don't want into your server that bad. Super cringy and entitled. Prepare yourself. Entitled friend.
This is how I know that you're a bad friend. You wouldn't only do it for the server and still won't do it. See? I'm what's called a good friend, and good friends do that no matter what.
Me. Whatever. Good night, entitled jerk. I then blocked her and carried on with my day. Well, ladies and gents, you've reached the end. Congrats. Am I the jerk for not wanting to get rid of my dog for my pregnant sister? So I'm 15, male, and my dad passed not that long ago. It'll be 6 months next week. My mom moved us out of our house because she said it hurt her too much to be there, and now we're living in this new house for 2 months now, and I hate it. Last month, my 20-year-old sister told us that she's pregnant, so now her and my mom are getting ready for a baby in the house. To be honest, I'm not really excited like them, but I thought whatever. Until yesterday, my sister told me I have to get rid of my dog before the baby comes. I asked her why, and she said because dogs are bad for pregnant women and newborn babies because they carry germs and parasites. I told her that that's not true. I always bathe my dog. He has all of his shots, and we take him to the vet regularly. He's also been around lots of babies before, and he's super friendly to them, so he can't be a danger to her baby. My sister got mad, so she got my mom involved. She told my mom I was being a brat and that I don't care what happens to her baby. I told my mom I didn't want to get rid of my dog. My dad bought him for me as a puppy on my 9th birthday. There's been lots of changes these months. Losing my dad, us moving, and now getting ready for a new baby. My dog is the last connection to my dad. My mom's not home much, and neither is my sister, so I feel like all I have is my dog. I explained to my mom why I don't want to get rid of him. She said she understands he's important to me, but I need to stop thinking about myself and consider my baby, niece, or nephew. I said I don't even believe my dog is bad for my sister's pregnancy. She never liked him since Dad bought him, and I feel like she's using this to get him out of our house. My mom said she isn't going to force me to get rid of him and that she'll leave it up to me. My sister's been mad at me since and keeps making comments about how she hopes me taking my sweet time deciding what to do won't damage her baby. They're both expecting me to do the right thing, but I don't know if I want to. Does that make me bad? Am I the jerk because I want to keep my dog? P.S. My dog avoids my sister because she treats him bad if he's close, so it's not like he'll be all over her. Update. I read lots of people's comments to this, and I was really happy to know that I wasn't hurting my sister or her baby by having my dog around. A lot of you sent me some good info. I decided to show what some of you commented to my mom and sister as proof that my dog isn't bad since she was so worried. Also told my mom I'm not going to get rid of my dog because he means too much to me and that would hurt him too. My mom agreed with me more after showing her the info and said my dog doesn't have to go anywhere. My sister seemed more mad after, not just because of the info, but that I told a bunch of strangers about our business. She didn't see the post though. My sister still kept pushing me to get rid of him because she doesn't want to be around him while she's living there. My mom and her ended up having a big fight over it. There was lots of yelling and arguing for days until finally my sister said she's leaving unless we get rid of him. She said it like a threat, I guess because she thought that would make my mom make me give him away. My mom didn't want her to leave, but that's what she ended up doing because I wouldn't give up my dog. For months it's been like this. She moved in with one of her best friends, I think, but she doesn't want to talk to my mom at all. For a long time, my mom was even more sad, and that actually made me start to feel guilty again because it seemed like this was all my fault. Things weren't good for a while. My mom was talking to me less and felt like we were strangers living together instead of a family. But she said it wasn't my fault what happened, so it's not that she was mad at me for my sister leaving. She was just sad about everything, and that made her not talk or be around me. Finally, after months, Mom and me are talking again better, and she's actually spending little more time with me. It's still not the same anymore though. My sister hasn't called us, and I don't know when she's due, but it should be really soon. Everything didn't happen the way I hoped it would, but I'm happy to still have my dog around. He helped me deal with everything. Thank you everyone for showing me I made the right decision keeping him. You guys made it easier to give them all this info and how wrong my sister was about dogs affecting pregnancy, and showed me I wasn't doing anything bad for wanting to keep the last connection I have to my dad. He's still here by my side, and I'm grateful for all the support. Well, what do you think? Was Opie the jerk or was his sister? Please let us know.
Tell your sister I said, leave the dog alone. That's from a movie called The Mask. It's really good, Jim Carrey, yes.
Entitled mother with 3 teenage kids cuts line of 25 plus waiting customers, causes a scene, and leaves the kids stranded. Oh boy, this happened a few minutes ago. I'm currently in the car with my own mother on my way home from witnessing a very surreal scene. It's the night before Christmas Eve. We went to Sam's Club. Lots of people, some not wearing masks like the jerks they are. Shopping was fine despite the hustle and bustle. If you're unfamiliar with Sam's Club, whether you do the scan or go self-checkout on your phone or use the registers, you must show proof of purchase before leaving. Of course, there was a long line, but no biggie. The woman verifying receipts was quick and efficient. My mom and I finally reached the front of the line. Some people had a ton of stuff, and getting them through took longer, but we only spent a few minutes in line before getting to the front. Got to the front, second in line, and we suddenly saw a herd of people with a cart full of stuff. It was an older woman and 3 teenagers/young adults, one of whom had a service dog. The nice woman verifying receipts asked if they had been scanned yet. All heck broke loose. Employee: has someone scanned your receipt? Karen:
No, I have somewhere to be. Can you scan us?
Employee: you have to wait in line, ma'am. There were about 25 to 30 people in line waiting to be scanned. It was long, but going fast. But that wasn't enough for Karen, who became irate and started yelling.
Just scan us. I have to leave now.
Employee: you have to wait in line back there. At this point, her kids were becoming embarrassed, and the son, who looked like the oldest, tried talking her down by saying, Mom, Mom, but she wasn't having it. She continued to become increasingly irate while the kids watched on in horror as she got into the employee's face and then tried to leave without scanning her receipt, but her kids wouldn't give her the cart. Karen to the employee:
Get me your manager.
Employee gets the walkie. I need security up here. Karen:
I am leaving.
She tells her kids.
Come on, I gotta go.
Tells the employee.
Stop yelling at me.
Employee: Ma'am, I'm not yelling. You have to wait in line. Her kids shuffled onto the back of the line while Mommy Dearest reiterated that she was leaving, and she meant it, waving her car keys around, and she actually left just as security came in. Her kids politely waited in line, and when my mom and I left, we saw the kids hanging around the awning by the exit. It's storming out, service dog and all, alone. She stranded her kids because how dare they play by the rules and wait for their turn when Mommy has somewhere to be and decided to go shopping right before. I feel bad for her kids. I've witnessed a couple of Karens, but this is the first time I've seen one demand the manager. If only those kids were younger, someone would have called the police on her. Those poor kids are probably still out there with a cart of groceries and a dog. Won't let me plant sunflowers? Fine. Client walks into the office and asks us for a contract review. He then hands over an HOA contract. Before slogging through a whole HOA contract, I asked him what he was hoping to accomplish. They want me to dig up my sunflowers. Your sunflowers? Yes, I planted a row of sunflowers outside my house. They pranced by and said that sunflowers are not allowed per the contract I signed, so I want you to tell me if that's true or not. Sir, before anything else, I need to tell you that this will likely be an hourly fee bill. HOAs are notorious for dragging things out, So this could quickly become expensive sunflowers. I don't care. This is America, and I should be able to plant sunflowers, dang it. Still thinking he wasn't that serious about sunflowers, I asked for a 3-hour retrainer. He immediately pulled out a checkbook and paid for 4 hours, so I buckled down to review the alleged anti-sunflower clause. Just for reference, the sunflowers he wanted to plant were really big, 5 feet, and all along the front of the house. It was a very substantial amount of sunflowers. The contract did indeed contain a clause with a very thorough list on which plants were and were not allowed to be planted. The list had just about every plant I could think of in alphabetical order. Think apple, banana, cauliflower, dill, sunflowers included. Corn was not included, which becomes very important later. Quick legal point. If you write "no dogs allowed," it is normally assumed that you are talking about all dogs generally. If you write "no labs, golden retrievers, or poodles allowed," it is normally assumed that all other dogs are allowed. Sometimes a not great attorney will write a super long list to pad hours. Read "charge more," instead of just writing "no plants without prior approval" or something. I called the client back in for the bad news. In explaining the above legal print, I let him know that the HOA got a raw deal from whoever drafted the contract. No can do on the sunflowers, but if it makes you feel any better, they were probably overbilled by whoever wrote this contract. Pretty shoddy work too. They even forgot to write down corn, but they included nonsense like dragon fruit. So, yes to corn? No to sunflowers? I didn't really check the contract for corn, but it's not prohibited in the plant section, so probably. Excellent. That'll work. I thought he was oddly happy with bad news. Then 2 or 3 weeks later, he came in with a picture of his house surrounded by huge sunflowers. What happened? This guy drove out to the country and bought obnoxiously large and ugly corn stalks. He promptly planted them where the sunflowers had been. When confronted by the HOA, he told them, paraphrasing, to buzz off. The contract lets me plant corn. Then, after some negotiation, he agreed to take the corn down in exchange for permission to plant sunflowers. Now we are friends. He's still a great client, and he lives surrounded by a ridiculous moat of sunflowers. You stole cheese, so you should give it to me. So a little background information. I work in a pretty big cheese factory, and every month we get a huge block of cheese from the factory to take home with us. Since the cheese is made in the factory I work, it is wrapped in plastic foil, and it doesn't have any brand name or logo written on it whatsoever. This will be important information for later in the story. Today was a day we received a block of cheese, and when I was done with work, I went to the supermarket to do some groceries. My cheese was in my backpack when I was using the self-checkout, that thing where you scan your own groceries and pay without having contact with a cashier. While I was scanning my groceries, there was a woman next to me, entitled parent, who looked, well, like a 40-year-old who still thinks she is 15. She was giving me weird looks while I was putting the groceries in my bag, but I thought nothing of it, since people often look weird at me after I go somewhere after work. As you can expect, working in a cheese factory doesn't exactly give you a nice body odor. I've been given comments about this from strangers from time to time, but when I say that I work with cheese, they apologize and say they understand. Until she decided to speak to me. We've got me. We've got entitled parent, the Karen with a midlife crisis. We've got the store attendant and the supermarket manager, entitled mom. Excuse me? Me. Sorry, what's the problem, madam? I think you forgot to scan that block of cheese. Points to block of cheese in my bag. Me. Oh, sorry, that's not from here. I work at a factory where we get these every month for free, but I understand the confusion. So, you stole it? Me. No, madam. Like I said, every employee gets cheese from the company. I didn't steal anything. By this time, I was done with checking out, and I was feeling kind of anxious by entitled parent and her accusation. So I grabbed everything and left quickly to refrain from the discussion getting out of hand, and went to the customer service counter to buy cigarettes. In my country, you have to buy them there. At this moment, I thought it was over, but as always with entitled parents, it's never over when you think you lost them. As I was paying for the cigarettes, entitled parent decided to show up behind me and started screaming in the most awful voice. She is stealing! I caught her, but she is lying and is trying to get away with it. This is why this country is becoming more of a crap show. Me, turning around with the biggest, really bruh, face. Madam, I just told you that.
Check her bag. There is a huge block of cheese there that she is trying to steal.
Store attendant faces towards me. Madam, may I check your bag? I say no problem and grab the block of cheese while I explain to her about the free cheese deal from my company. All this while entitled parent is screaming,
"Lies!"
in the background. In the meanwhile, store manager noticed the ruckus and came to ask what was happening. Of course, entitled parent immediately faces towards her and starts ranting about how dare they allow thieves in their store. Manager faces towards me and asks, "Miss, is this true?" Me, not in the slightest. Like I just said to your colleague, I get this cheese from work every month. You can even check security cameras if you'd like.
Yes, do that. She is trying to get away with it.
And then suddenly store attendant decided to say something. Manager, I think this girl isn't lying. This cheese is wrapped in plastic foil and it doesn't have any brand name. Nor do we sell fresh blocks of cheese here. They only sell packaged blocks. After hearing this, entitled parent's face turns pale. And again, when I thought it was over, it wasn't.
Well then, if you got it for free, you should give it to me since I'm a stay-at-home mother and I deserve it more. Give it to me.
Me, store assistant, and store manager, 10 seconds of absolute silence to think about what the heck was actually happening. Manager, Madam, please keep it down. This girl didn't steal anything nor bother anyone. So let her be, or else I'm going to ask you to leave.
But it's not fair. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I'm an essential worker, so I deserve it, and not this young brat.
Manager, but she got this from work, and if she is still working, doesn't that make her an essential worker? After this, entitled parent Usain bolted out of the store while mumbling something about immigrants getting everything they want. I'm not an immigrant, but since I do have dark hair and eyes, people never believe me when I say I don't have roots from any other country. I thanked the store manager and attendant and apologized for wasting their time on such a weird matter. You definitely haven't seen this one yet, so come watch it and we'll see you when you get there.
And huge shout out to Mr. J, our newest official channel member. Thank you so much for supporting our channel. It truly means the world to us. Join as a channel member today and we'll give you a special shout out in our next video. And to have us make any kind of video you'd like us to, just come visit us on Fiverr, link pinned in the comments below.